In today's video, we're going to talk about how to correct muscle imbalances.
All by myself.
Hey guys, what is going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com coming to you on Thursday afternoon in my new home gym. Kind of found a new method for filming these videos and I'm really excited about it because I feel like the lighting's good, the backdrop is good, the echo is gone. So yeah, I just opened up the damn garage door. So I'll have to deal with the heat a little bit in the summer, but pretty soon it's gonna be nice here in Florida. So today's video is a question I get quite frequently about training the body when our goal is symmetry. You want to look the same on either side of your body, or you want to function the same on either side. You don't want to be overly powerful on one side versus the other, because this type of compensation can lead to like bad movement patterns and injuries and things that are just going to be not good for your long-term well-being. And when we talk about physique sports, an imbalance can be bad on stage because it will draw attention to itself, and symmetry is very important when it comes to judging. You know, as a competitor, you want to have a nice physique that from top to bottom has symmetry. Someone with huge legs and tiny arms, tiny legs, these type of things, and even an imbalance from right to left, you know, one side bigger than the other. So I'll talk to you about my experience with training some imbalances, because I personally had a huge one for years. And the first thing you need to know is, like, muscle building takes time. So if you have an imbalance from years of training or activity or a sport such as I did, it takes years to correct it. It's not something that you can do overnight. So the first thing I want to say is, don't correct a muscle imbalance by stop training the more dominant side, okay? Don't correct a muscle imbalance by stop training the body part that's more dominant, okay? Instead, place more emphasis on the side that is less dominant, and also place emphasis on the muscle group. So for example, my shoulders were always very dominant in my physique growing up. It wasn't until later on, probably after more than 10 years of lifting, that I realized when I benched with terrible form. I benched with my elbows really really high, and that put a lot of emphasis on my anterior deltoids. So for years, my anterior deltoids were growing, my chest was not. As you can feel, there's not a lot of pec involvement when you do this. Now, immediately once you bring the elbow down, you can feel the pec engage, and now guess what's happening? The chest is growing. So when I look at pictures of myself after about 10 years of training in my late 20s, I realized I was very shoulder dominant. And then once I corrected that, I was able to bring my chest up to kind of give my upper body a more complete look. Now, did that mean I stopped training my shoulders? Hell to the no. I still want to have like dominant body parts. It's still nice when you see somebody that has something that stands out on them. Not that my shoulders stand out on me, but for me, it was something that I wanted to accentuate and continue to accentuate. I just wanted to bring up the rest of my body to match that. The biggest one for me has always been my lats. So I'm a right-handed person. I grew up doing everything right-handed. I played baseball, I played volleyball, I played baseball, I played golf. I worked construction, and whenever I would work construction, I would shovel like this direction. And I realized I developed a really big lat compared to my left. Don't get me wrong, I'm not walking around with ILS. No, I developed a much denser lat on this side. And so when I started getting into training, we can talk about some of the techniques that I use. So one thing that I do whenever I'm training my lats now is that I always make sure I add a little bit extra to that side. And it's pretty simple to do. So the strategy that I use is that I always start with my left side. Meaning, so if we're gonna do a unilateral movement, one of my favorites for building lat thickness is the hammer strength narrow grip pull down. So it's got an underhand position. You sit like this, your chest is on the pad, and you pull from here. Now when you pull, you're engaging the lat. And I'll actually sometimes put my hand on my lat to feel it engage. Now, unilateral movements are better when you're worried about an imbalance, because with a dual movement, you can actually get more muscle involvement from one side or the other, so the imbalance might not correct itself as quickly. So what I'll do is I'll do my set here, whatever reps I'm able to get, I duplicate that. Now with my right side, I probably have a few extra reps in the tank, but I don't want to do that because I'm only going to accentuate that difference, right? So I keep building here, still improving, but I don't let it outgrow my left side. And then what I'll do at the end of each set that I do unilaterally, I'll just do one extra little set, like a drop set type of thing on the left side. I might only get a few extra reps, but it's that little bit of extra stimulus that's going to allow my back to grow. Now, will you ever 100% completely eradicate this? Probably not. I've been training for over 20 years now. My lat has come way up. I feel much better about it, but it's still not quite as dense as the right side. And I just think that's from ingrained from the time I was a child, doing things right hand dominant always is going to cause that. I have something similar with my left leg. You see, I played a lot of basketball growing up, and I was a 1-foot jumper. So when you make a 1-foot jump, your left leg is your plant leg, your right leg comes up. So there's a lot of force placed on my left leg. So my left quad has a little more density. My left hamstring has a little more density. Now, with legs, I later became a 2-foot jumper. Yeah, I can dunk. So it wasn't as bad, it wasn't as prominent, and then there's just a lot more density to the leg muscles, so it wasn't as pronounced. It was just more something that I noticed. So when I'm talking about fixing imbalances for you, what I would really suggest you do, and something I really like to do, is add in a unilateral set at the end of each exercise. So for example, when I do leg extensions at this time, I love to do double leg extensions, really get in there, get some failure going, really get some fatigue. Then I'll drop the stack and I'll go to a single leg, right? I'll do a single leg extension and then I'll do the other leg. Always making sure I do the weaker leg first. Then I do the second leg to match the reps. Then I'll do a couple extra reps with the left leg. So that's just one of the ways that I like to do muscle imbalance correction. Now, when we're talking about movement patterns, this is a whole nother thing outside of my realm of expertise. I don't really want to get into movement patterns for you guys. If you're squatting or if you're deadlifting and you notice one side is more dominant than the other, then you probably need to work with someone who's really good at biomechanics, kinesiology type of thing. There's a lot of great people out there. You know, some of the people that I love to watch are like Kelly Starrett. Dr. Jacob Harden over in Orlando does some really cool stuff too. So there's some great resources out there. I don't want to give any tips on corrective movement patterns. That's not something I'm really comfortable with doing right now. So I would just look for those resources to help you. But overall, that's it. My goal for correcting muscle imbalance is just to make sure that I don't diminish the body part. I just accentuate the other body parts that I need to bring them up to match. And then I will always use unilateral movements a couple times per workout to make sure that the body part that's weaker is getting a little more stimulus and is able to grow and catch up, right? It's not going to catch up overnight. Don't try to have your muscle catch up overnight when you've had a lifetime of training behind you that has caused the imbalance, right? So you got to think of the human body as a work of your life. And so to correct that, it might take a couple years, but guess what? If it happened overnight, it wouldn't be any fun because it'd be too damn easy, right? The process is what's enjoyable. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me today. Correcting muscle imbalances. It's Thursday, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.